So, I've seen a few more truth bombs recently. Stuff that's accurately true. I can't think of them now, but yeah. So let's talk more into the mind's eye. So, what are my thoughts? Is that has already been compromised. Yes, that's how I think. A lot of times, it can happen that someone, not to get into blaming, but I've just come to my personal belief is that some souls are older than others. And correct me if I'm wrong, God, because I already know that everyone's going to say, you're wrong. You're wrong. Everyone is equal. Every soul is equal. On its path, everyone is equal up front. And literally, I've just come to see that some people, with the cards they've dealt and things, they manage to not utilize the information that they could be on. And so a lot of it, one of the things I've realized is as a man, one of the few only ways that I can win is through micromanagement. And this must be a concept that my mind's eye is coming up with. Because it would be more of a beautiful idea if like one small habit influenced your subconscious that much to allow you to win that easy. So there are key hacks, like non-fluorinated water. It will look and appear, this realm is filled with too much illusion currently. And still to this day, I've noticed a lot of illusion just dominating this realm. So it would appear like just yawn, eat a sub with, let's make it vegetarian. Just pour some, vegetarian honey mustard or mayo and tomatoes and cucumbers and maybe a little bit of cheese, but you're mainly loading it with good, like tomatoes and cucumbers, what you're trying to get in. Then you'll maybe think about fasting for a bit. Maybe you dabble with coffee, but you're always thinking proactive with diet because you're aware that diet leaks right into your personality, and the diet can show, like, represent your personality, and plants talk, like that's another concept that I've been on. And so it's just kind of like navigating people that don't agree with these things that I run into the video. And it's really random, but it kind of leaks into how you think of things. And so it really helps to have as many live enzymes that go into your body as possible. Not as in loading them, like eating too much, but really getting potent with the vitamins, really getting potent and finding out, like, just getting real. And this can get really confusing. So just to let you know, hang on. I think 200% of daily value of vitamins is kind of like to get around 200% of each daily value of vitamins is pretty much what I'm on. 100 would obviously just always work, but 200% is kind of what I'm after. In my opinion, is that the synthetic vitamins are not even nearly close to the whole food vitamins. Like one good one is Alive, the Alive brand. Alive is pretty solid. I like it. The ones that have fruits and veggies, they'll have like around 500 milligrams or 600 milligrams of like a fruit and veggie complex. So it's those details. It's the devil in the details. It's always like something just confusing about the details. But this is what leaks into your mind being much more alive and things. That's one of the few ways left to kind of do anything nowadays, because fruitful conversation or deep conversation doesn't go for much anymore. You have the few people that kind of like are onto that conversation, and they feed off it, they like it or they agree with it, and then other people just not, they don't want to listen. And so this is why I was I asked God about this a bit. I'm like, God, I'm sorry, but this is just how I feel. I think some people must be newer souls compared to other people, because it shows when you get like to where you're like in your 20s, and then so like by the time you're like 25, you might have really followed up with vegetarianism at some point. You would have stumbled upon that. And I'm just realizing that it's not like a tool that's always used. Like it could be 3 days out of the week, 2 days, 2 days out of the week that you're a vegetarian, and that will make a difference. Just 2 or 3 solid days out of the week that you're a vegetarian. So like, I take my medications, I just chill, but a lot of it is that I'm just trying to be like mainly sticking with plants and things, and I'm lucky to have these things, but at the same time, when I look at like, there's things that people don't tell me. I don't know why, but a big belief is that like you basically, like this is why I think people are newer souls, because they basically think I've failed at this life, as if nothing has been in my defense as far as like the medications that are pushed on me, which shouldn't be too much of an argument, as well as jobs that just won't hire because they believe other things. They believe that I must be associated to my profile, which is actually just profiling, and that's not a threat. I don't know how that would be a threat. Just they would already think, oh, you must be so like I must be up in the cash register because I've had crimes before. So I must be up in the cash register, just jacking cash because of some stories, or he must be associated to all this crime and negativity, when it doesn't add up after a while. Like, I'll show different, and they must just assume, so they won't hire. And it's like, there's the occasional place that'll hire, but it gets really tricky. And this has been an issue. And even still, when I get hired at some place, some people are totally chill. Some people there are totally chill, but it just takes a few people being what I would call agents. They come up to you and say like, why are you frowning today? Why you look like, or they just have a way with their thoughts. They just have a way of kind of eyeballing into like, if you're thinking open-minded or you're thinking different outside the box, they just won't like that. And so then it can lead towards sneak dissing, and just making the work environment kind of hellish for you to incentivize you potentially leaving. Like, I don't know facts very well. I just can kind of read the overall vibe and get an idea kind of how things were as far as the vibe. I tend to be kind of an empathic person. I had kind of a rough night tonight. I was thinking some dark thoughts, and I was feeling depressed, and then I got kind of blamed for it, and it's okay. I I've changed my mind about tonight. So agents will be like, or just people coming through, people like commerce or whatever, people coming through the line or coming through your like customers. So customers that are just like really cliche about things. They tend to bore you really hard. It depends. You always run into good people where it's like, hey, how you doing? And they're like, hey, what's up? And other people are just like, I want this. This is what I want. And usually I just assume they're profiling me and they must know who I am or something, and it just gets kind of grimy. And I'm sorry to say that, but there's things that lead towards depression in the workplace. For some reason, I'll find specific coworkers draining. I don't know, and this makes it very hard. It must. I'm empathic towards these energies, so I absorb people's. I view reality as not the bitter truth, but the half bitter truth. So it's a bittersweet symphony so far. It's been like bittersweet. It's been like reality is really harsh, but to build anything, to design any ideas is a beautiful thing. But then it gets into the psychology of what, if anything is even yours, and if you've even done anything with your life is a big argument to have. So like I could lift weights, I could read books, and then someone can just disagree with that. They can say, no, we haven't seen that. You don't do these things. And then so it's like, well, I'm not gonna have a contest all day to show them, no, I have done these things. I just know on my own, that I have done these things. So I kind of live with less validation. I was just talking with God a bit, and a lot of stuff like that where like you're talking with God and you just wonder, it's like people can kind of get an idea that you just talk to yourself is what they think. You talk to yourself a lot. And it's like, well, I'm talking to God, but it doesn't, I don't know. It's really hard to explain. So this is why I gravitate towards just hanging out alone. And things get too cliche and too dense, and a lot of times there's no way to avoid a little bit of like temporary just feelings of degradingness, where it's like they clearly don't value what I'm doing. And so what this is kind of a way to just preserve the soul essence on a micro level, like micronutrients and things like that, and and so so like it gets kind of funny how things can go, just relating on that. So like a lot of it, like the pineal and things, like it's not like you're just gonna have it open is difficult to maintain, because to work a job there might be people around you who don't validate that idea. They don't like that idea. You can't go and express and talk about, hey, I'm working this job, and the reason I want to work this job is to get to go vegetarian. Well, it starts there. I'm vegetarian. Hey, I'm vegetarian most of the time, yes. And then again, this is why I think some people are newer souls than others, because they'll just fall for how like the peeing contest of like if you're even vegetarian or not, or my sideburns are way too long right now. But just, like you think you're vegetarian, or just different things where it doesn't, like I read a bunch of books on things and they're pretty solid. I started off with a lot of business and then switched over to just specifically more charisma books, and then a few spiritual books, and then I kind of stopped. I stopped because I realized I had read almost too many books. Probably equated to a total of 75 or so books, which is just enough. Doesn't have to be 300 or, you know, 300 million in the bank. It can be just, it was like 75 books or so, and just common stuff like that where if I tell anyone that, like, it's like they might think I'm bragging or something, but they'll just kind of be like, what do you mean? Or like, what you can't say is I put work in. I put work in. That's what annoys people. You say I'm a hustler. I put a lot of work in my free time. They'll say, no, you don't. No, you don't. When I know that I'm lifting on and off, but I'm coming back and gravitating towards lifting more right now, for example, and just, well, no, you don't, and stuff like that. So it's like, well, I don't know how to talk to people anymore. So this is kind of why I hang out alone, because they'll just say we haven't seen that, or we haven't seen enough results, and it's like, well, I just kind of stick to my micromanagement, and the rest eventually will just kind of show into, nothing too superficial, but just, and as far as like females, it's just like, I don't know, because you'll see females around that are hot, but it's like, they compete with you in the workplace, and they'll think if they're younger, they won't want you in their workspace. For me personally, being the kind of spiritual cat that I am, they'll make assumptions that I'm like being this, whatever I don't know exactly what they think. It must be profiling again. They must just assume that I'm associated to all these behavior traits and all these things that I'm going to do automatically that doesn't have anything to do with anything. So when in reality, it could be cute or something, and they must just think that I want sex or something weird. I don't know. Let's be adults here, but like, so like, it doesn't really work like that to go work at Applebee's or anywhere. There's usually just some young girls there who just kind of like don't want you there, and it could, even if it's like, just, yeah, so, then the lower scale jobs, it's kind of like, and then I'm doing all these things to get like a little bit of health foods and a few different supplements mainly, and I'm trying to just kind of build and do what I want to do, but it's like there's not the space for this. It's like it doesn't work, so it's just kind of, this is what I'm going through, and a lot of the same cliche kind of stuff. I just kind of stick to the vitamins day to day, and I'm blessed to have what I have. But it is an argument to not be had. It's an argument to not be had, like that I'm successful in any way, or I ever have been successful with anything, is like a big peeing contest that like I don't want to have with people, because it will always equate towards what's, like big time, like it's like this bigger picture success stuff, and yeah, people do have it. And then you have the kind of people that are into health foods and stuff, and that's cool and all. But there's actually a floating stream of people that I don't know what it is. They'll kind of play into that role and say like, yeah, if you have this conversation with them, like kind of dulled down, like you should eat healthier, they won't be like, interesting. What do you think? Like, what would you recommend, or what's your angle on it? What do you think, what's like one health food that really is like the kind of nutrient, something I wouldn't know about that would help me out or anything? Usually it'd just be something like they'll think like, they'll take offense to it. Like you think, and then you won't, like, this is hard to explain. It just gets too fishy, like as far as, because I would assume that it's, they probably have like a decent lunch, dinner kind of deal going on, but it's like the meat's just, unless you get specifically expensive good quality meats and you have the money to do it. But there's something about the workspace and the office space and these things, even if I'm able to get in there and work, I still find it all draining. So it's like there's a one of two things. I could have accepted this a long time ago, to basically give up on my soul, give up on my personal soul, and just grime it out and just learn how to be this office like person that just like deals with whatever it is that I'm doing, to somehow make it in the door, kick my foot in the door, to be able to just work this job. But it's like forcing it. I wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't be who I am now in some office space. I would have had to comply to a lot of different things, to say the least. And so just yeah. So like but as far as like, gossip and things like that, you feel someone that's trying to cut down on it. And then some people they'll play into that. So like, it's really hard to explain, but you'll find like office bullies and things, or people that are kind of social deviants. And I kind of seem to have recently come up with that idea. And I said it on like one of the videos, is just social deviance and how it's not even a thing. It doesn't even matter. Like, you can just kind of get away with whatever. And as long as you learn the laws of how to have no remorse with it in your mind, then you won't ever get called out on it too much, because there's like a stream of like social climbing that goes upwards into just kind of being the next person on the scene. And nightclubs, I don't know, man. It's cool, but it just gets like, I know like drugs can change the atmosphere, the environment, and get you into loving stuff. But who shares drugs? Like, who shares anything? I mean, not many. Most people are real, like, they might even, I don't know. It just doesn't, and then even if you are the type to share, well, you can get in big trouble for that. So there's this whole currency that's like backwards with that. So I'm talking about maybe like MDMA, Molly, or something like that, and how that can change the whole vibe of a night, to where the nightclub is no longer dry. The nightclub is fun now for you and everyone else, but it's like, it gets into this whole currency of like something that could be good that goes very fake sometimes. And then I study these dynamics on like documentaries and things, and it's like, and then you got the type of person to be a rat, and you got the type of person to be an informant, and you got the type of person to be an undercover, and you got the type of person to be the salesman. And like, it's like, so it's like too much of a process to even get into, so I find a lot of this stuff depressing, and so it's just kind of hard to even maintain. So I'm lucky to have what I have. I've been dealt the cards that I've been dealt, and I just continue to micromanage. I'm lucky to have like vegetarian foods, but honestly, the employability thing, like, I've been able to like work really good, but I still feel really bored. Like, when I'm there, I have to go into a mode where I'm not allowed to do anything I want to do. I will admit, I'm not, the jobs I've had so far, it was not what I like want. Like, even still, I kind of liked it. It was okay. But something about certain people there, certain people and certain customers, still made it just draining overall, where it was like, like, McDonald's was chill, but it'd just be like some orders, I'd be like, I don't know. So it's just, and so then finally payday comes around, and I boost it up. I get like a good multivitamin. I get a bunch of vegetarian foods, and that's how that was when I had a job. And that's still looking at like $500 or something like that. And then even still, like, just the real practical side of how like that doesn't get you much. Like, but as if I'm just gonna be the same person, had I somehow grinded out and worked some more executive, more like businessman kind of motto type of office job, and whatever, working for some insurance company, or who, I mean, for me to be in there, it's like, like something like where obviously the profile very much matters, and you know, and then so if I would have kept my shirt completely clean and everything, I could somehow get my foot in the door and work that office job, but it wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be me. Girls would be thinking, like, he's a nice guy. Yeah, he's nice. High five. Yeah. Versus like this, some girls might be attracted. It doesn't really matter, but that's the only thought form that would ever kind of get me, like, to talk to them. But even still, you can be like somewhat attracted to them, and it's just hard to explain. They still view it like they want you to be like that doctor or that thing and have this, and then unfortunately, that's the currency. So it's kind of just like only relatable. It's actually only relatable that I've just been like mostly single up until I was like 26 and stuff. And even still, there's just stuff where like I'm finding girls that are kind of in a similar. They're probably like, I mean, in anyone else's mind, they're gonna be like way above my league because that's how it works for girls. It's just you kind of have like, you know, and then we can't talk about these things. We can't talk about these things. What I'm about to say there, we can't talk about. They'll say, no, guys have every chance the girls have. It's the same exact thing, equality rights. But it's like, is it the same? I mean, do I get invited on boat rides for being a attractive male? Do I get like some, I mean, male job as some selling off something? I don't know. I mean, so we can't talk about that stuff. We're not allowed to talk about that stuff. So it's just gets like what is the point of reality at this point? I don't. So I just slowly micromanage, and not only would I not do that stuff and not accept it because I don't want a sugar daddy. I don't want people, you know. So just it's only practical kind of that I'm in this situation in a way because and not only that, but the medications were getting confusing, and there's just a lot of different dynamics that's like it kind of makes sense why I'm like only physically successful. I'm only successful in the fact that I feed like 200 to 300% of my daily value of vitamins through a really good source, and I get a decent. I mean, yeah, I use like little nicotine and stuff, but like people for some reason equate that to like, oh, this isn't, so the health foods don't count because you use nicotine. It's like, well, I take a break for like 30 minutes to an hour, or like 30 minutes to 45 minutes when I eat to let the vitamins absorb, and then I kind of slowly come back and use a little bit more nicotine and then go, but it helps me fast a lot. I'm going to eventually kind of switch over to the gum. I have some gum right now. I'm just really blessed to have this stuff. You know, it's really cool and chill and stuff. It's like you get blamed for being depressed. You know, a lot of times it's just like, let's go, do this stuff, but it's a different value system. It is a different value system than what I have. Like, I only like spiritual stuff. Like, so, like, for me to start some business would look like some, you know, geeky coffee shop where it, like, allows coffee and smoke and stuff. I'll just hint at that. And it's like, that's just not even realistic because it's too, I have capitalism up my butt for that, you know, just constantly just like taxing and all the legal statements, attacking things in the mail, and it just doesn't. It's like, what option do I even have here besides bodybuilding? You know, bodybuilding and eating vegetarian and taking in vitamins and using my certain key lotions and things for my face to keep this glowing, and then even still, it's like it's I get blamed, like I get held accountable at what I feel to be the wrong timing. So like, there's just things like that. Like I don't know. So yeah, I mean it's fun. I mean, um, you know, but like depression from feeling like just lonely, even in moments when like, you know, it must be the left brain dominant world, and when I'm just pretty right brain person, and then people are already saying, well, what do you mean you're right brained? Well, what art do you do? Well, and a lot of times you're gonna have to even be a good artist, you're gonna have to let go of like the money in the first place. It seems like, unless of course you have like a record deal or like something. For the most part, there is such thing as having art that's so good, in fact, that like people worship it to where they'll just pay you. But it's very tricky to navigate that. If you have a strong dominant right brain, it's very tricky to navigate that. People can get envious of your art if your painting is really like a Da Vinci level, or I don't know if I don't know, Da Vinci, Michelangelo. Your painting is really that historic. If someone sees that, they might want to like take it right away or just take it away or something. So it's like that currency. See, so like I mean, maybe I'll get into painting, but do you really see me like selling those to the point where I'm making like a decent income to where I can then get a house? I mean, that's just like, I mean, even if it's like really good paintings or really good design, do you see? It's like, I like to admit that the economy's been a little bit corroded. I like to admit that the economy has been on a downfall secretly, and people don't always have this conversation, but like they really don't. People just kind of say like, "What do you mean?" Because it must play into like how like, no, we're good, we're well off. I have a Cadillac, I have this shoes, I have this stuff, I'm well off. But it's like charisma's something to have, but it doesn't pay. You can impress someone all day. I mean, well, you can impress someone sometimes. In very key moments, you will occasionally shine a bit with a little bit of charisma after reading books and studying it. And then what do you think? They'll be like, here's a buck. Here's a buck for what trick you just did, because you're making them laugh or something. Like they're not going to, no one's going to help with that. People only start helping once you're homeless. And then still it's like charities and stuff, like personal gifts don't happen, not outside of family. I don't know how to explain it. So we're just kind of relating on common sense here. So, all right, peace out.